Welcome to hashtag 52Needs, and this week we are talking about celebration. And I'm so delighted to have with me Chris North, who is the CEO and founder of Learning for Good, an education platform that supports arts, cultural and Indigenous NFPs by distributing key education resources to schools and community groups. Chris has a master's in marketing and pre-pandemic spent 15 years in senior roles in media, including as National Content Integration Director at Southern Cross Austereo and National Head of Integration at Macquarie Media. In his spare time, whatever spare time he's got, Chris is a Commonwealth registered marriage celebrant. For more than 10 years, he's had the honor of celebrating the union of couples both in Australia and around the world. Chris also helps families celebrate other occasions, from the naming of new babies to the passing of loved ones. Hello, Chris.
Hi, Angela. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, long time no see. It's wonderful that we finally found a reason to celebrate.
Yeah, and it's strange because there are many occasions in my everyday from the times that we've spent together many years ago that I reflect back a lot and go, there are already things in place which are a part of my everyday makeup, which are influenced by the work that we've done together. And that's stuff that I really appreciate. And I reflect on that a lot, especially when it comes to boundary setting, because I think that's a really important element that people get lost and forgotten about. And in fact, I had a conversation recently with a team member who said, "Oh, but I sent you an email and it was like at 9:15 at night." I'm like, it's 9:15 on a Sunday. No, but I'm not checking email. You shouldn't be checking email. Just relax, enjoy Married at First Sight, enjoy the repeats of The Love Boat, and then we'll chat about it on Monday.
Well, you'll love my next year then, because we're now doing hashtag 52Needs. Next year is hashtag 52Boundaries.
Wow, fantastic.
I'll have you back probably, and we'll talk about boundaries. How's that?
Please.
Okay, well, now we're talking about celebrating. So we're in the middle of the Christmas season or the holiday season. We can't really call it the Christmas season because there are so many other holidays around. There's Hanukkah, there is Kwanzaa, the African one. We've got St. Nicholas. We had that, which was the original German one. Then we have the pagan winter solstice or summer solstice, depending on where you are. So there are all of these celebrations we've got right now, and people are almost getting overwhelmed, right?
Yeah, and you feel that suddenly there's this overstimulation of so many events, and you kind of you do have to ask yourself the question, like, how much is too much? Because especially in Australia is now this is a term that a lot of people refer to Australia as multicultural, but I kind of say it's not. It's multinational. It's culture lives within one group, but it's multinational, and so a number of different nationalities and cultural influences come into Australia. And if you I look at colleagues who might be Greek, for example, and so they've got the Greek Christmas, and then they've got they'll probably do the Anglo Christmas, as they like to call it, and then many friends it's Hanukkah this week, so it's the Jewish celebrations, of which my 14-year-old son has only just discovered. His best friend is Jewish, and he's only just discovered all the celebrationary stuff. So he's already kind of planning himself to be at one of the bar mitzvahs next year. But he was at Shabbat last Friday night, and he was like, he said, "I can't believe this. It was like extraordinary. It was like all this food, and it was amazing." And of course, he came back at the end of it completely exhausted. Why? Because it was just overstimulation. Because then we were getting into our carol stuff. So if he was doing that celebration for his friends and those people, we then had our kind of start of Advent celebrations too.
So you can celebrate too much.
Yeah, I think you can actually. It's a little bit like finding, I don't know if it's saying it's like finding the perfect drug, but celebrations are a really important way of like formal and informal reasons. They're like, you have like a celebration in honor of someone's birthday or the wedding or birth of a new baby, but they're like celebrations that we attach positively to. Yeah. What sometimes we forget is that celebration also has, it may be a negative connotation, but it's still a celebration, like the celebration of a life. When somebody dies, that is a celebration, right? It's looking at sometimes say it's like, there's a radio ad that goes, traffic is really bad. Well, it is if you're driving a car, but not if it's web traffic, because web traffic is really good. Okay.
Yes.
So celebration kind of covers across a number of different ways, and the way that you want to use that word, I think. So I love a great Christmas. I love it. I was in the USA a couple of weeks ago. That was for Halloween. That was extraordinary to see the Americans in New York deal with Halloween in the lead up to Thanksgiving, and then in the lead up to Christmas. I was like, this place is busy enough. How do you have time to fit Christmas in?
Yeah.
So all of those holidays and traditions and special celebrations and elements all come to the front at a very important time. And I think that really does. People get exhausted because it's celebration uses, I think, what they call system 2 thinking. It's that idea that you are committed to it and you're actually deeply involved into it. It's not like you're just throwing it off like driving a car and putting the blinker on and turning around the roundabout. You're actually committed to being a part of the process.
Yes. If you believe in the process, right?
Sure.
You have to assign meaning to it. You can't just celebrate something where you're going, whatever. Like, for example, we are getting together with our neighborhood this week.
Right.
And we're celebrating. We have our Christmas celebration by having a brunch on the weekend. And for me, that's about community.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're getting messages.
Is that me or is it you?
No, that's you.
Oh, is it? So I turned off my Outlook because it was something group. And then like,
okay, let's celebrate connection.
Let's celebrate. These are people who want to connect with me. It's like,
absolutely. No. Yes.
No, so I have, it's strange you say that, because the idea that celebration doesn't have to be, and I wrote this on a note, I've got my notebook next to me. I wrote a note saying that celebration doesn't have to be reserved for the biggest events or holidays of the year.
Exactly.
Because
I mean, for us, it is at the moment, it is a Christmas, but it's because we haven't done anything for a few months. We normally catch up outside of the holiday season because we just love hanging out together. And it's a great neighborhood. We are a genuine community. And so it's, it doesn't have to be Christmas. That's what I'm saying, because for me, Christmas is lovely when you're doing it with loved ones. I'm all by myself, right? My family and my friends are spread all over the world. And so for me, I generally, for me, Christmas is a time for self-reflection.
Yeah.
And I look back at the year, and it's a very different celebration to what people generally associate with Christmas. So I'm just saying, it's like, just because somebody celebrates in a certain way, that doesn't mean that you have to celebrate exactly the same way.
Right. And celebration, again, it kind of gives us that all kind of excitement around various things. And it may be we're trying to instill in the kids at home, our teenage boys, like, they drag the chain when it comes to just life. It's like, come on. But like that celebrating cleaning the house can be something really important, because that actually leads to a sense of pride and a sense of purpose. It's that idea that we get to the end of the week and we go, guess what, guys, we did a great job.
Yeah.
Let's celebrate. Let's go and do this. Do you know what? It's been a big week for everyone. It's the end of school. Let's just go and enjoy each other's company and go and get a pizza.
Yeah.
That's celebration. It's the idea that we take ourselves out of that routine and we can actually reflect back and go, I have some sort of value or self-worth, those things that truly matter. Yeah. And as we celebrate, especially for our family, and this is a little technique I learned from you. When I say as we celebrate, I'm referring to us, because I get caught up every time. And anyone who has worked with you will know what I'm going to say when you go, when you, who, me, okay, right. I've just thought I need to catch myself. We celebrate we allow the stresses of life to fall behind and spend our time doing the things with people we love.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that may, what I love about Christmas, though, is that there are kind of things that, so every year I put on a carol service, like in my spare time. What I do is I get some colleagues from the Sydney Youth Orchestra who I've worked really closely with over the years, and I get some friends and other colleagues from Opera Australia or a number of other professional singing groups, and I bring them together, and I get one of my best mates from university who's a conductor, and we work together for a month or two, put some arrangements together, and then we go to a really lovely kind of church in Coogee, and we put on a carols service, which is carols and readings, and it's a solemn reflection on what Christmas is. So for me, that's a celebration to say we're here to remind ourselves of what it all means. You don't have to be religious. You don't have to have a faith, but what it does, and what this is the bit for me, I think it opens up this beautiful inner working in our creative space, that we go, we as humans were inspired enough by a particular event to create music, or to create song, or to create ritual, or to create purpose, and we celebrate that. And I kind of go, oh, that's pretty cool. And I love it. I love a good carol, and if you do them well, they're actually really beautiful and emotive. So that's a way in which we ensure that we celebrate, and I think it's important to have that even. And I know you said like, it doesn't have to be specific times of the year. We don't have the service at a specific time. It's always in the Advent leading to Christmas, but it'll be sometime in that 4 or 5 weeks, right?
Yeah. Well, I do see that, seasonal holidays have their purpose. Absolutely. And I mean, like Halloween used to be, we didn't have Halloween in Germany. I mean, this is a strictly Northern Hemisphere timing, right? It used to be the Harvest Gratitude Festival, because that's why we have the pumpkins and all of that stuff, because it's about bountiful harvest that we're celebrating. In the Southern Hemisphere, it makes no sense whatsoever, and becomes a celebration of, silliness, and, and I get that. And in Europe, you've got that in February when you've got Carnival, Mardi Gras and all of that. So there are all these celebrations that are literally part of a certain, nationality or culture, that have been transposed, and now in a context where they don't necessarily make sense, but they're still fun, but they've lost the deeper meaning.
I have a hidden secret. I once had a job.
A hidden secret?
Sorry, that's a tautology, isn't it?
No, I was going to say, who are you hiding it from yourself?
Who am I hiding it from? No, a little secret. I worked in a German bar, right? In an Umpa band for many years, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was my favorite time of the week, because a Friday and a Saturday night, like at the end of a working week, you're exhausted doing your stuff, but this was my creative outlet, where we'd go and play music and sing songs. But what I loved about it was this cultural, I loved that cultural celebration, not so much around Oktoberfest specifically, but the idea that there were songs and events and traditions around eating, around gathering, around particular names that were kind of untranslatable into English, and you tried to kind of put them into context, but various things that you go, this is actually really lovely, and it kind of identifies people really quickly. So sometimes celebration can identify people too, and it gives that you know where they're from, or you can know their background, or you might be able to connect with them on a particular level because you've got something in common.
Yeah. I was just, as you were saying this, it's the connection. It's always about the connection and what gives meaning. And this is why I would invite everybody who's watching or listening, I would say, please think about why you're celebrating, not just buying stuff, decorating the house and buying more stuff, and having food and buying more stuff. But what's the meaning behind that? Again, connecting with people, whatever it is for everybody. I mean, we all assign different meanings. It's about really creating something, because that's what celebration is about. It's about making meaning. It's about nourishment, not food, not stuffing ourselves, but that's so what you call, the self-reflection and the self-appreciation, the community, all of those things.
I think that gets lost in the wedding industry. Like, obviously, as a celebrant, yeah, it's interesting. I see that there's this. I have a colleague that has a podcast called Fear and Greed, right? And it's about Adam Lang. So Adam and Michael have Fear and Greed, and it's made me think about behavioral ways. So it's like, how do we go? Is it, are we doing this out of fear? Or are we doing it out of greed? Yeah. And sometimes we act you can see people's behavior, especially when it comes to weddings and funerals, as to whether they're acting out of fear or they're acting out of greed. It's extraordinary to watch them in their sense of purpose, but the way that they need to justify. This is, I think, the bit, just apropos of what you've said, this is the bit that I find really weird, is that in order to justify the celebration, we need to go to an extreme. We need to provide another thing. We need to go to the nth degree. I need to make sure that the videographer and the photographer and the petals and the rice and and I kind of break it down. I'm just talking to a couple for next year for a wedding, and they're saying, oh yeah, look, at the end of the ceremony, we want to do the photo, and there's the petals throwing up. We're going to walk through, and I thought to myself, we're going to spend hours together in preparation for a ceremony. But the only thing you want to remember is or have to remember it is a popularized photograph that everybody seems to do of people walking carefree and happy through a tunnel of love and petals and things being thrown up in the air. And I go, and you're going to work to, that's the goal you're working towards. Is that the celebration for you? It's like, well, you don't need to do any of what I need to do. Yeah. We can actually remove everything and just do that photograph, and then you'll be happy.
Yeah. And it's also about pleasing other people. I've literally had clients who canceled their wedding because the mother of the bride insisted on a traditional fruit cake, and the bride really wanted a chocolate cake. And then the bridegroom didn't focus on the wedding; he focused on the honeymoon. So the bride felt that he wasn't really involved. They ended up not getting married.
I could write a book on this.
Yeah, I'm sure you can.
Like there is the number of fights is extraordinary.
Yeah. One of the reasons why when I got married, we had a wedding on the beach, just the two of us, 2 witnesses, a celebrant and a photographer. We made albums for everybody, sent it out with a mixtape, well, with a CD of music at the time, and a bottle of champagne, and invited people to celebrate with us, because we had a family situation where I went, this is not going to be about us. It's going to be about other people, and it's going to be drama, and it won't be a celebration, and I'm not doing this.
I love that you said a mixtape. I used to make mixtapes as a kid and give them to friends. Celebrating like music that we loved together. Yeah. So when they traveled overseas, they'd be like, they could listen to it on their Walkman. Yes. You mentioned that the idea of giving them a bottle of champagne and a gift. So many couples who I might be friends with and I might work, or that I may have an association with, I might not charge them in the same way. I might kind of reduce the cost in order to kind of help them out, and I make that as a present to them. So I say, look, I'm happy for you to pay for X, but the rest of it is going to be my gift to you. So normally I'd charge this, but I want that to be a gift. And they'd say, oh, well, that's very kind. I go, well, look, you know what? Just buy me a bottle of wine. Mm-hmm. And they do, and they will go and invest into something nice. But what I do is I mark the wine with their wedding anniversary. So I take I'll put it into like a little cellar, and a year later or 2 years later or whenever, I'll crack it up, but I'll only crack it open on around their wedding anniversary, and I send them a picture or an email saying I'm drinking this and thinking of you. Yeah, still celebrating a great time. And it's a really wonderful way of kind of going, oh. I do the same thing with families, for example, who I've done funerals for. So I'll send them a Christmas card. Mm. So when I've finished a funeral, having worked with the family for through a grieving process, I write a Christmas card. I have it sitting there waiting to send and post. It's already stamped, and then come December I post it, and so all of these cards go off, just saying, you know what, I'm thinking of you at this time. Because, this is a moment where we would normally celebrate together in terms of family, but I want you to reflect and celebrate on somebody else's life and go, we're in a good spot. Yeah. It's little things like that which actually kind of make, I think we get lost in, I kind of look at my 15, 17 and 18-year-old, and I go, I think you're lost in the technology. I don't think it's quite personalized. And I think it'll come and bite them in the bum in years to come.
Well, they've got you as a living example. And so, you can only hope that some of these things will stick. But, yeah. Well, in the meantime, we can celebrate that, it's working for you at the moment. And that's what really matters. because you can't, you can't celebrate for other people. You can be happy with them and all of that. But it's about really, this is the thing, the joy of celebration, that nothing beats that, right?
It's a great thrill. So in terms of kind of performance, so like whether you're up there doing a wedding, or if I'm emceeing an event or various other things, there's an adrenaline rush that you get. And there's no doubt that when some people find it, some people go, I can't stand up in front of people. I actually thrive on the idea of being able to stand up in front of people and have awkward silence. I'm totally cool with it. and it actually, it helps, it drives me to a better result. But I don't often celebrate the successes for me. And I've had to kind of do that a lot post-pandemic, because it was like, well, hang on, I never actually went back and went, that was a good gig, or that was a good event, or this was something, or go and see them and go and celebrate your success. Because if people go, oh, you did a really good job, you just fob it off. And by fobbing it off, it's just like, yeah, okay, thank you very much. You don't want to be seen as hungry for compliments. But then, like, it's nice to get a compliment and to accept the compliment, but then you don't want to feel as if you're getting too much of it and continuing the conversation irrationally.
Wow, it's a fine line, right?
It's a fine line. Yeah, it is. And I kind of find it really difficult sometimes to go, okay, look, and when people go, oh, look, thank you very much and congratulations, oh, that was really good. You go, thank you, and you kind of I'll go move, and it's something that I've had to really kind of train myself doing it, to celebrate. Actually, that was really good. Even embarrassing moment. I kind of reflecting back on a moment which happened in the middle of an awards ceremony up in North Queensland, and the video failed. And so I had the script of the video with me, incidentally, because I'd recorded the voiceover for it as well. So I had the script with me. So when the video fails, there's literally 1,200 people, 1,200 miners in a room. Not miners as underage people, like as in yes. Coal miners.
Yes.
And there's like, because this joke wouldn't work if they're all under 18. And then so I'm sitting there, and they're all kind of looking at me, and it's all failed. And then I've gone on with something and then kind of narrated the video live, but done it with a little bit of tongue-in-cheek criticism. Mm-hmm. And it's been really well received, right? But then it wasn't well received by the mayor of Rockhampton, who happened to be there and was a bit, it's like giving them a bit of stick. It's like, well, you're in Mackay, come on, you're in other people's territory. But I kind of, where the criticism would come in and go, you initially take criticism first and go, that's my benchmark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it kind of took me a little while to kind of reverse that and go, no, actually, no, you did the right thing, and it was fine. Celebrate the fact that the event still went on. It didn't fall apart. Everyone had a great night. It wasn't about you. It was about them, and it was great. Little things like that shouldn't be the litmus test for success.
Yeah, absolutely. So celebrating not only successes, but also misses, mistakes, and all of that. That is a really great place to stop, because we're going to say thank you to everyone for watching and listening. Thank you to you. And we're going to go into the conversation about celebration at work. And that's where we can start there, because that's the perfect starting point.
Excellent. I look forward to joining you again on the other side.
Thank you so much, Chris.